answer as many questions as time allows. If we cannot answer all your questions, we will follow up with you individually as best we can. Before we begin, I have one other little piece of business. I want to advise you that we expect to be holding a 2 or 3 day training session in late January or early February in the Chicago area. Please watch our website, Twitter, Facebook pages, and our newsletter for details when the details are available. I will now pass the webinar over to Normand.
Okay, so hello everybody. If I will show you my screen, actually, Tony will have to make me the presenter.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, and I will. Okay, so I will show you my screen. Okay, so now you should see it. So, so I will try to go quickly over the various features of WordStat 8. We have been working. It took several years to come up with something. One of the objective was to make it easier to use, and probably one of the first thing that you may have noticed, or that new users will notice, is that WordStat was for 20 years actually was an add-on to some software. It was created 20 years ago as an add-on to SimStat, it's statistical software. Then we released QDMonitor in 2005, so WordStat became an add-on also of QDMonitor. Then we also had it the possibility to run it from within Stata. We work with people from Stata to release a version of WordStat that could also be run from Stata. But all of those require you to master or to learn how to import, how to create project in the other tools, and how to call WordStat from that. We try to remove that by creating a standalone version. So that's the reason why you see here an icon. Okay, and now WordStat could still be run as an add-on. So when you run QDMonitor, actually, whoops, it's already running. So let me go back there. Let me actually close it. Let me, sorry, I was, okay, close. Okay, so I had it open already. So if you click on that, it will actually open, yeah, of course in the wrong window, but I will bring it here. Okay, let me bring it. Sorry, I have to make a small changes. Okay, so basically you are put in front of a dialog that allows you either to open a new project, open an existing project, something like that. But basically what we had it is the ability to create a project, and it will offer you the same features for those who are familiar with QDMonitor to create project from QDMonitor, either from a list of documents, so you could import words, PDF files. So simply by clicking on that, it will bring you a list. You select the files you want, you move them, and you create a project out of that. But you could also create a project from Excel, CSV, tab delimited file, and from several formats. You could import from SPSS or Stata. Also import from survey platform directly if it will directly connect to your survey platform, to your account, and download the survey and the responses to those questions, as well as social media. You could collect social media. Again, for those who are not familiar, we have a web collector tool that will not only bring data from Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and RSS feed and YouTube, but it will also monitor those sources for new entries. Okay, now, so all of this is that, and also we connect from Reference Manager, emails. So the same, basically almost the same data type and sources of data that QDMonitor. We also have the conversion wizard for those who are importing large documents and they want to process it and extract the variable from it. We have that. So same features. So I won't explain that features, especially. Maybe we should at some point do a webinar on that, but for now, so it's basically the same features. And of course, if it will also open the same data project as QDMonitor and SimStat. So here I will open a project. So this page, this data page, is entirely new, and basically it brings the same features as QDMonitor in terms of and SimStat as in terms of data editing. So you could append some files, append some records, delete records, find duplicates, change descriptors, filter. So and you could also add variables, create variables, but we did have a few additional data editing features here. So again, import, export, you could save as, but we also had the ability to do some transformation that are not available elsewhere. One of them is binning. So for example, if you want to analyze maybe the text in the document, in the speeches, and this is multiple speeches from the 2008, and you want to analyze the audience, the problem is that there's a lot of values here, and you don't want to do a crosstab with that. You may want to do some binnings, and the binnings, basically, if I select transform and I compute binning, will actually offer me, for example, here, five scales or different intervals, but it is not. I should have done also 5 equal frequencies, so it will come up with scale that I can rename, that I can edit as well. And by doing that, the software will create a new variable like that will have those 5 different values. Okay, so binning is a great way to include and crosstab with a numerical variable that contain too many values and you want to group them. Okay, but of course, if you only wanted to remove some values or recode some values, you could use the recode. We also had the ability to do computation. So basically, you could create a quite complex formula that will allow you to compute new numerical variables. So for example, I do have a positive and negative items. What I could do is I could maybe create a sentiment that would be simply the difference between both. So I could say positive minus the negative, and it will create a new variable here called sentiment that will have that. But I have access to not only arithmetic operation, but as well as trigonometric transformation, as well as random numbers, as well as statistical values, either for a single variable or a list of variable, like the sum, the mean of a variable, like, of several variables as well. So there's a lot of transformation there. And here I could also include some conditions. So if one is higher than the other one, do this. If not, do something else. So let me simply do a simple transformation here. So now we have the difference between those two scores. Okay, so it allows you to compute numerical values based on other values in your data sets, or maybe create a random variable if you want to do some sampling, etc. So binning, numerical transformation are 2 different things. We also had it, actually, if it's not available there, I have it here, the ability to do transform date into different values. This is not released yet, but we are simply finishing, and we will release that as a maintenance 8.0.9 probably by the end of the week. We will have this ability to take a date and transform that into other type of numerical values or nominal values. Okay, so that will be released soon. Before showing you going to the WordStat main features, let me show you also that what we had it also is the ability to define missing values. So, and this was not available before. It was available in SimStat, but not elsewhere. But if I go to properties now, I have the ability to define either a numerical value or select from a list of categorical value. For example, you do a survey and you have not applicable or refuse to respond. You want to exclude them. You could specify them as missing values so that the software, when it will do frequency analysis or text analysis, it may ignore those as well. Okay. Now, okay, so this is for the data management tool. Now let's look at WordStat. We have all the missing tabs here that are familiar to those who know WordStat. If I want to apply it, I have to click Analyze, and the software will actually show me a dialog that allows me to select variables. So this, before, when you were in QD Monitor or in SimStat, you had to choose the text and you have to choose the independent variable, but it's the same thing here, but this time it's more it's a dialog like that. And if I click on that, it will bring me actually the interface that you're familiar with. But what we had it also, especially for new users, or if you have a new project, is a explore mode that will try to give you some basic information. So by clicking that, the software will ask me the language. It detects that it is probably English, and it asks me how many topics I want. So let's increase that to 35. Okay, yeah, 35 would be good. Click OK. And what the software will do is that it will actually bring me a simple interface that will show me some basic information. And the idea was to make it easier for new users to explore a text without the need to learn how to orient himself into the full interface. And this will allow me to bring you and show you some of the new features. So let's go back. So it had 3 tabs. So the Explorer mode will show me the most frequent words. It did extract 500 words. And for those who are familiar with WordStat, you will see, and WordStat 7, you will see that there's a new panel here. The new panel allows you to compare any word across variables. Okay, so here I did select as independent variable the candidates and the political party. Now I have, so I can see for every word I select, say for example, if I look at war, I know who mentioned it. I know that Democrats mention it slightly more often than Republicans. Health, Clinton mentioned it more often. And like our main interface where you could actually retrieve text from here, you could also do the same thing. I could retrieve what Clinton says about health. And if I do that, the software will bring me what Clinton says about health. Okay? Now, so this old panel is new. We had prior a suggestion button. We decided to put it there so that it will be easier to access, and you could actually see in your data sets which words may be related to health. If I look at war, it will bring me also other words that may be related. If I look at economy, again, some other words, and I could select them and add them to a dictionary if I want. Okay. Now, I also have, as you saw here, we have a new word cloud, much prettier than I would say that than a prior version, but it's it actually I could access it differently from here, so that we will see it in more details. And there's some options here. For example, I could decide that I want to have a kind of ellipse, and it will go from the center. So the most frequent words will be put in the middle, people. And I could also instead ask for random display. And again, it is also interactive. So if I want to see what people said about war, I click on the word war and right click, and it will retrieve to me the words associated with war. Okay, so this is a new chart. We also had a new donut chart, which is actually easier to, it is very similar to this, but actually people found that this is actually easier to compare across different categories. Okay, so that's one small improvement. We have the same panel also for phrases. So the phrases, when I select a phrase, the software will already tell me who mentioned it more often, whether if it's Democrat or Republicans, middle class Democrats, Al-Qaeda, it's Richardson, so Democrats, Richardson, Biden, and Obama, and McCain mentioned it more often. That's in 2008, okay? And climate change, that would be, again, more Democrats than Republicans. And when it's a Republican, it's more often McCain, okay? So we had this panel so that you could more easily see. And the overlap also is now automatically presented. So if I select healthcare, it will show me phrases, more specific phrases that may be associated with healthcare or that may overlap with healthcare, okay? One of the big changes came from the topic modeling, okay? Again, topic modeling, we already had that in version 7, but topic, this is an area where we spend quite a lot of efforts. We have done quite a lot of research to try to come up with something that would be better and that would be more accurate and more informative. Okay, as you see, typically topic modeling is a list of words. So we have those lists of words, but we also had phrases, and the software automatically identified phrases that could be relevant. But of course, if I'm not happy with some of those, I could go there and decided that, well, let's remove I don't know, middle class. No, not really, but tax breaks, okay, or capital gain, and let me remove that, and I can rename that. Okay, so we had the ability to do that. We simply changed slightly the interface to make it easier. But the thing is that we had not only words and phrases. We did remove some options there. They are available here, which allow me to show you that actually what we did is that we, WordStat had factor analysis as a topic modeling approach. We also implemented non-negative metric factorization, NNMF, or NMF for those who know that. And the thing is that those are two different techniques. We did some experiment. We found that they were better. Both of them were better than LDA, which is a common approach for topic modeling. I did publish a paper with someone from University of Concordia, independent study where we assess, and we found that topic extracted with factor analysis were actually better than LDA. If you are interested in a paper, contact us or leave a message, and we will actually send a link to get this paper. So, but NNMF will allow you to analyze much larger amount of text responses and extract topics much more quickly than factor analysis. The factor analysis is nice, give very good results, but it may be slow in some situations. So NNMF and factor analysis were actually implemented, and for now you have the choice between the two. But one thing also that we wanted to do is, okay, so again, we came up with words, with some phrases, but we also came up with suggestions. Okay, so when we extract topics, not only do we extract topics, but we also try to, by improving it, by adding phrases, but also suggesting other phrases. We have some criteria. We'll try to, we were quite somehow confident about those, although you could edit those, but we were not less confident about those ones. So what we did is that we bring you a list of potential additional phrases. And we have also a exception category, as well as a misspelling category that I don't have here, but in some cases I may end up with some spelling correction here, like company. There's a missing Y. Okay, reserve. That's a character that is not appropriate. But the thing is that those words may represent false negative things. I may underestimate the frequency of this topic if I don't take into account those misspellings. So the software automatically identifies the misspellings that will be needed for that. And it also tried to identify it because it is a bag of word approach that contains some words. For example, house price is not good, and it tried to identify maybe what could be exceptions. So phrases that are related to those words, but that doesn't seem to be related to this topic, and it's very, very difficult to guess accurately and come up with clear exception. So that's why we have those 3 question marks. So the idea is that, okay, we believe that maybe you should check those and check whether they should be removed. And if I think that this is an exception, I can actually add it to my topic so that when it will see companies, if it's preceded by mortgage, it will not be categorized as foreign oil and prices. Okay, so again, very difficult to do. Some of those may be relevant, some of those may not be relevant. Home prices is a clear exception. Home mortgage company as well. So I could add those. Okay, so we are still we still have a lot of research to do to further improve that. We are committed to further do research and try to further improve that. But that's our first public results of what we were able to achieve to improve typical topic modeling, which typically consists of a bag of words. So basically, if you remove the topic enrichment, what it will do is that it will do a more classical topic modeling where you will only get words. So here, the software, find those, okay, Wall Street, housing mortgage, it's good, but there's no phrases there, and it's just a list of words only, okay? So that's one of the important features that we had it. Now, let me switch to the full mode so that I could show you as well new features that we introduced in WordStat 8. So by clicking on the full mode, I have access to all those topics you may be familiar with if you have used WordStat 6 or 7. But there's several changes that I want to show. Let's go to the Crosstab page because we did implement, okay, we did implement a few features here. There are some new graphics. So if I select some items and I click on that, we did have those first four here. So bar charts this way, and we had different options to do that. We also had it a 100% stack bar chart, as well as a radar chart that will show me the connection. And if I change let me change the color so that we may be able to see more clearly. So again, it's a type of chart that we found could be useful when you want to compare several items and too many items to show on a single bar chart. Okay, but one of the features that we did, okay, those of you may be familiar with the correspondence analysis. Actually, quite a lot of words, quite difficult to see what is specific to some of those candidates. For Obama, I know that he used those words. I know that Clinton used those words. Edwin and Biden may use those words. Much more difficult to guess which words are used by whom here. Of course, I could extract a third dimension and may be able to find some distinction here. But what we did implement is a deviation table. And the deviation table will actually bring you characteristic words. And here, let me do it this way. Here, it showed me that Biden tend to use those words more frequently, and I asked for 20 words here. I could actually create only a table like that will show me the words that Biden used more often than others, words that Obama used more than others, et cetera, et cetera. And if I select a word, I can see where it appears elsewhere. If I do the last, I will see something different. If I do both, and if I select something, I will see that some of those are associated highly with Biden and Richardson, but less often by Thompson. So again, it allowed me to explore and extract information much more quickly and much more easily in a more natural way than correspondence analysis, especially when you have a large amount of categories. Okay, so here I have 10 candidates. Even if I do that on 2 candidates, on two categories, correspondence analysis is quite difficult to do, but here it will show me, and the plus and minus will be less useful, so let's focus only on the plus. So those are the words used more often by Democrats. Those are the words used more often by Republicans. Now, this is the new graphics and the new features on the Crosstab page. I need to spend some time on the text processing page because there's several changes that users of version 6 and 7 will have to adapt to. Categorization, CET file, and exclusion list files are gone. Well, they are still there. Well, you could still use those, but we now decided to group all of those into a single model file. So, and there are several reasons for this. First is that if you want to replicate some results, and if you want someone else to replicate some results that you created, initially what you had to do is that you had to send them the categorization dictionary that you created, as well as the setting associated with those, with the dictionary, the exclusion list, so a separate file, and you have to list all the options that were used for pre-processing and post-processing. Now, everything is put in a single file. Another reason why we put this file, we created this single file, the single model file, is that we found that a lot of people were actually accidentally making changes to the exclusion list, the default exclusion list, the English exclusion list if you are analyzing English. And then they were creating, they were corrupting the default exclusion list. So now, if I wanted, want to create a process, and let me create a new process, and I will start with something totally new, and I will name it test. Okay, I simply have to import my English exclusion list. This is the exclusion list. Actually, this is one that I actually created. It's not the best one. I think that I did a few changes on that. I actually have also a Unicode version that contains more words. And then what I could do is import also my former cat file that I don't have here, but if I have some WordStat 7 dictionary, I could import those. And the thing is now I can add words to my exclusion list without having the risk of affecting other project, because I'm also using this other exclusion list. And it's quite easy because every change you make here, now you'll be able to save that and maybe send that to someone else. It will be stored in a single file. Okay, so this is a major change, and you will have to adapt to this way of managing the exclusion list and the categorization dictionary. Okay, now in terms of pre-processing, we did also implement quite a few changes. Probably one of the most useful one, I would say, for those who have some programming skills, is the ability to create a Python pre-processing. And I think that we did implement one where we actually do English lemmatization using the NLTK library, Python library, and I can edit that, and I can actually see the Python code, and I could test it here. Okay, so quite useful, because you could basically do what you want in terms of pre-processing by simply writing a Python code. And I think that we also create another one that will simply look at common emoticon, those ones, and return instead a text. So that will be the text that will be analyzed by WordStat after pre-processing the text with that. So you could create your own pre-processing, maybe do part of speech tagging, something that was not available. Now you could do that. You could also do maybe some either sentiment analysis, or extract nouns only, extract phrases. So you could do quite a lot with Python, but we had before the ability to call some windows or DLL, or call an external program, but now Python will allow you to do a lot more. We also added a few options here. One of those is the ability to analyze a specific number of words, and we found that useful because we have seen some situation. For example, when you analyze journal articles, if you analyze the full document, you will get some noise associated with the description of the samples, etc., etc. And if you want to see what people are talking about, you may simply decide to let's look at the first page. We don't have the concept of page, but actually I could say get the 500 first words. By doing that, I will get probably the title, of course, the abstracts, and maybe also a couple of the paragraph of the intro. So by doing that, I may be able to get good results in terms of description of what is being discussed in those documents. So this features, we found that it was quite useful. Another one that we did is that we have a pre-processing where it could convert emojis. So those special characters used in social media and sometimes in emails. WordStat will not analyze those. You cannot add those to the dictionary. We are working on that, but for now you cannot do that. But this will convert those special characters into a emoji string that will describe what it is. Okay, so if it's a flag, it will convert it to something, and you could actually add those to your dictionary, so you could measure the presence of emojis this way. So this is a small changes, especially for people analyzing social media, that could be useful. We did split the pre-processing and the post-processing, so that would be the final frequency. Once everything has been applied, then you could maybe filter on that. So no change there. You could select, say, the 500 or the 300 most frequent words based on TF-IDF, for example, and that will apply that. One thing that we changed, actually, we had something like that in version 7, but it was not as obvious as it is now, so you could create substitution. This is a great place to deal with misspellings. WordStat will identify the misspellings. You still have the ability to replace those in the text in batch if you want. You still have the ability to add those misspellings to your categorization dictionary by adding them to any dictionary you may have here. Let me open, for example, this one. Okay, so you may still add the misspellings there, but the thing is that you could also add them there, making it a lot easier to support and to clean up, because you will end up with the dictionary that may not contain any misspellings. All the spelling correction will be done here. You had the ability to do that before, but it was pretty tricky to do. Now we try to make it easier. So now it's something that is done after the exclusion list, before applying the dictionary. The software will look at any words that may be misspelled and it will replace it. Okay, so this is an important features that we added, that we try to make it easier to do that. And when you extract the misspelling, the software, when you ask the software to do, okay, either replace that in a text, add that to your dictionary, or add that to the substitution process, this is where it will appear. So you could either add those automatically here, or in batch here, in here, or you could tell the software to do batch replacements. In terms of dictionary, not necessarily a lot of changes, but we did had two important features. Okay, first, and in order to improve the accuracy of some dictionary, we were happy, because I wanted to have this feature for a long time, the ability to input case-sensitive entries. So, and by default, the software is not case-sensitive, and most of the time you don't want it to be. But there may be a situation where you want to catch an entry, or maybe remove an entry, based on the case, the character case of this item. A good example is in a typical default dictionary, you have the word it. But if someone make reference to the IT department, you wanted to be able to catch it as well. Same thing for US versus us. Us is typically a word that is removed, but what if someone mentioned US and you don't catch it because you exclude the word us? How can you differentiate those? Well, the way to do that is to add in entries, and you could add it to the categorization or to the exclusion list. And if I had a new entry, I could, for example, say that, let me, if I put the this character, I don't know the name in English, but it's accent circonflexe in French. And if I do, for example, IT, it will only match it if it's in uppercase in the original text. If I do something like that, it will match Bill, and will categorize it maybe in one way, while I may also have Bill elsewhere. And this will, every time the software will encounter Bill, if it starts with an uppercase and followed by lowercase, it will be categorized in one way where this appear, but it won't be categorized where this appear. So this allows me to do some disambiguation of some words that may have multiple meanings, and where the case is useful. And for example, bush, if someone mentioned bush like that, this will match like that. But if I have this to make reference to bush and trees, etc. So I could have a category that will match those, but I will make sure that when it's like this, it will not be categorized as a kind of tree or a kind of plants. Okay, so adding case sensitive increase the ability to create more precise dictionary. Okay, now we also had the ability, and you may have seen that, to add regular expression. And here you could type, and this is an example of a regular expression where actually the software tried to find, I think it's a email address. So and you could test it, and if you test it, then it will tell you what it will extract, and now you could add that to your dictionary. So regular expression could be quite useful. We were using the regular expression before, but in a very simple way. But those who want to create more complex text extraction, they can now use that using regular expression. So this is one, I think, one important features that will be useful for most advanced users. Now, let me show you something. We also try to make WordStat easier, even for those with no training at all in text analysis, and I will try to show you how we did that. So I will quit WordStat. Okay. Okay, and I have here on my desktop, I have a folder that contains some documents. Okay, and there's 3 folders containing Word file, HTML, RTF, PDF files, plain text. And the thing is that if I want to analyze those, I had to open WordStat, import this folder. It's not that difficult, but it's still a challenge for someone who haven't done that before. So what we did, and let me go back here. Actually, let me go back here. What we did is the ability to do some text analysis in Windows Explorer without the need to run WordStat. Okay, and I will show you how we do that. So let me first start with some documents. I select some of those. Let me select all of them. And I can tell the software, right-click, and now you have WordStat. And let's explore. What it will do is that it will import, not in WordStat, it will simply read those documents, and it will show me which words are the most frequent. Okay, and I can go back, and if I select one word, I have this word cloud. This is not WordStat. This is what we call the WordStat Document Explorer, integrated in Windows Explorer. So I select Iran. It tells me that CBS, that's a debate transcript, CBS of November 12, 2011. It is mentioned 38 times, and I can see where it appears. If I select this one, I will see where it appears. And if I select this one, it's a PDF file. I can see those paragraphs where it appears. But if I click on that, it will actually bring me open the document. Okay, so I can see here it only show me the paragraph, but I could actually see the full documents and look at where it appears. Okay, even if it's a PDF file, it will actually extract the text and will allow me to see that, but it's probably easier to see it this way. And I have a word cloud also that is interactive. So if I select, for example, I want to see when they talk about Obamacare, I could see that this document. So great way to explore quickly. Let me go back here. What I want to show you is that I could even do it on a folder, and what it will do is that it will do the same thing, but this time it will bring me a dialog to tell me what we want to import. We did have XPS file, which is a equivalent of a PDF file created by Microsoft. We had OpenOffice and WordPerfect and a few other ones. And if I click OK, it will actually import all the files, not only from underneath GOP, but underneath subfolder as well. So great way to explore very quickly. I did show you words, but I haven't shown you that we could also do that with phrases. So I could see mention of healthcare quite often. I can see where it appears, in which document they mention it more often. But and we try to create a simple tool. But the thing is that from the right click, you could also tell the software that you want to categorize. So I did export, and you could develop a dictionary in WordStat, and you could say, okay, let me apply the brand personality from those documents, and it will apply the dictionary, including the exclusion list, the substitution, the categorization, and it will do that again on the same list of documents. We actually created that. The idea came from working with a company where they had someone who was looking for the kind of products that they were offering, and they were looking at large construction project PDF files, and they were using Control F to search for maybe 30 different words. So we simply create a dictionary, and the person can now right-click on the document, and it will tell this person how often they mention the different products, all in one click away. So again, here I could have applied different categories, okay? But I could also, if I've done some automatic document classification in WordStat, WordStat can do machine learning, naive Bayes, k-nearest neighbor type of automatic document classification. And if I do that, the software could actually apply that. But what we did also is that, let's assume that you want to create a project. I could right-click, and I could say Run WordStat, and what it will do is that it will import a document, but this time it will feed that to WordStat, and it will bring WordStat in a few seconds, probably if in the wrong window. Yeah, okay, if it's in this window, let me jump back. Okay, where is it? Okay, it asked me for, and it run a Explorer mode. So if it will now move it, and in a few seconds it will bring me the most frequent words, the most frequent phrases, and then the topics. So simply a right click, it create a project in WordStat. So I have a folder, right click, create a project, then it will extract the most frequent phrases. And it did use as the independent variable the document name, as well as the folder name. So I have 3 folders here. I don't see all of 3, but they are here. Let me maybe change that this way. Okay, so it bring me that. Same thing for phrases. And same thing for topics. So the software bring me all of those, but of course, if I want, I could simply switch back, and now I could do the full text analysis processing. And if I quit, the software will ask you whether I want to save the data into a new project. So let me save that, GOP. Okay, so, and quit. Okay, so now I have a GOP project that I just created in WordStat. And the only thing I had to do is right-click, and on the folder, run WordStat, I tell what kind of document I want, and it will import those and do an analysis on those. Okay, so we could not find an easier way to run WordStat and to do some analysis in WordStat. So you start with a folder, or simply select the documents you want, and you could create a project in WordStat. So that's when I told you that we try to simplify it as much as we could, something that is not necessarily easy. Text mining requires some skills and some training. We try to somehow reduce the task of learning an interface in order to be able to get some results, so that you could get results much more quickly. So on that, I will stop here. There's a few other features that I think I did miss, but those are the main features that that I wanted to show you. And now, if you have any question, I will be able to answer you.
Thank you, Normand. If you would like to ask a question, use the chat feature on the right hand side of your screen to ask a question. One question that somebody typed in before during the during your presentation is WordStat have additional capacity to analyze words that in WordStat 8 versus WordStat 7?
In terms of yeah, I would say that probably the biggest change that I did not mention, and let me and I will bring the project again. The main change that we made is the ability to analyze much larger amount of text. So I know that at some point, for example, after say 10 million words, or before that, maybe 5 million words, software started to slow down. It would still do that, but it would take a lot of time, and there was a limit as well. So you could not analyze necessarily 50 million words. We did actually some tests on WordStat 8. We changed the engines internally so that we have been able to test it. The maximum that we've tested now is 1.3 billion words, where we were able to analyze it. It takes time, but WordStat has been optimized for speed for quite some time, and it's still quite fast, and it's much faster on very large projects. So in terms of capacity, we have not tested beyond that, but we believe that we could go beyond that. And one thing that we have as a project for 2019 as part of 8.1 is to move it to a 64-bit application so that we could analyze even larger amount of text. So that is part of the new features that will likely be released soon. Okay. Any other question?
Yep. Is there a way to do a simple word count by document?
A word count by document. Actually, there's a way to export a word count, and let me do it. Let me first do a pretty quick analysis. I will run the export mode, and if I do, let me see if it is interesting, because if I do apply a dictionary, and let me apply this dictionary, of course you will have a word count for the entire project, and it will be shown here. Okay, 590. I think it is also here. Yeah, 590, but I don't have it by documents. There's a few ways to do that. An easy way is if I select that, if I save that, I could add to a new variable that will be the total number of words. Okay, so this will count the number of words, and it will create a variable. Let me do it. Okay. Okay. If I go back here, I have now total number of words. Okay, here. Okay, so this is the total number of words per document. There's another way as well. I could simply create a dictionary that will have one entry, which will be a star. The star means any number of characters. So basically, it will be, and let me simply do it quickly. Let me add a word. Okay. I will call it, I will do it this way, and it will be a new category that will be all words. Add, close. And basically, if I apply that, but only that, I need to disable that, I need to remove that, and I could do it this way. Okay, I need to apply that, but I will do that. It will actually bring me a single frequency, but it will also, I could save this category, or I can even do a crosstab by file, and I will get these results. Okay, so that would be another way to do it. And here, the software, of course, it will analyze, and I have the same figure here. It tells me, and I can save it. And I could have done a crosstab by candidate. Well, let me do a count here. I can see how many words were in each of those speeches, or how many words I have from Democrats and Republicans. And I could have done that on the case number, so it will show me how many words are there. Okay, any question?
Can WordStat do more than bag of words and phrase analysis? For example, can it understand the sentence?
understanding, well, there's no software that will understand the sentence. And I have to be clear, when you want to measure something, in order to do a clear analysis, and there's no way a computer could do that, but however, you could actually create something that will be quite good. For example, the topic modeling that we have done before, and let me simply, okay, I will apply that. Okay, the topic modeling is actually a technique that seems to apply things. And the thing is that the topic modeling, one of the virtue of topic modeling, let me increase that. Okay, one of the virtue of topic modeling is that it will recognize the fact that a word can be associated with different contexts, contrary to cluster analysis. So, so for example, middle could be associated with middle class and Middle East. Like companies could be associated with credit card companies, pharmaceutical companies, or insurance companies, and the software may associate this word to different contexts. So the software will take into account the context of a word to categorize it properly, and this is also how we would, and I did remove the topic enrichment, how we will identify the phrases. So, and this is basically the most you could get in terms of comprehension from a software, and there are other techniques, and but they all rely on either words, phrases, as well as co-occurrence, context. So the software will use the context to identify that a word can be associated with more than one meaning. But the thing is that you could create quite comprehensive dictionary by using something that will differentiate different meaning of a single word. And we show, I think we have a webinar that we did on that. How can we make sure that when this person used this word, we are measuring what the person is actually wanted to say rather than what this single word could mean. Okay, because a word could actually have several meanings. A word in a phrase could typically have just one, maybe two meaning. And the longer the phrase, the more specific it is. So there's an ability to build a dictionary that will actually get the correct meaning most of the time, never all the time. There's no computer, there's no machine learning algorithm, there's no artificial intelligence that will actually come up with something as precise as comprehending or understanding what the text is saying. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Is there a way to automate some of the features in WordStat?
Okay, so WordStat is mainly if it's a point and click, and it allows you to develop models. And you need someone to operate it. So if I have this dictionary, for example, and let me remove that. And if I decided that, okay, that's good, and if I want to reapply it on new data sets, I have to restart again, open WordStat, or maybe use the right click that I showed you before. However, what I could do is, okay, once I've applied the dictionary, okay, and let me apply it, okay, what I can do, and it's not available by default in WordStat. So I have a dictionary, I analyze it at the first level, that's primary, secondary, emotions. But if I want to create a model out of that, what I could do is I could publish that, and it will create a single file that will contain everything that is needed to apply it elsewhere. And what we have is an SDK. It's currently a Windows DLL, and we have sample programs. So someone who wants to automate that, and we did that several times with several companies, they develop something in WordStat. WordStat allow you to validate, test it, but now you want to deploy it and automate that. So what you could do is that we have an SDK that will allow you to integrate that into programs, programming language, using programming language that can read Windows 32 or Windows 64 DLL. Now we are working as well on a REST API so that it will be possible to also use a REST API. So even if you are programming in R, Python, Java, you should be able to call that. We are still working on that. There are possibilities to call Windows DLL, but it's technically more difficult to do than REST API. So we are working on a REST API so that it will be possible for someone to easily call those. And most programmer knows now how to use those REST API, and it will be easier to call all the features, and it will typically take a model that you have developed that you save on disk. Those are 3 models that I have on my computer, and you could then open your text in your own application and quantify the text and return numerical value corresponding to the frequency of different categories, or if you do machine learning, it could be a classification. So the DLL sold separately and the REST API also sold separately are the way to do it. Again, the REST API should be available early 2019. Okay. Any other question?
We'll take this as the last question. Some misspellings have 2 or more clear alternatives that are frequently meant. For example, HES, HE apostrophe S, or HIS, or HAS. His, has, his. How best to deal with those in large data sets where individual editing is difficult?
Okay, good. I think I will maybe take a project with some misspellings, okay, and I will run it so that, because one of the things is that we recognize this. We know that, and there are some algorithms that will try to match a misspellings with a, and let me apply that because it takes some time. So I will go to the extraction. Let me first apply the dictionary. Okay, so there are some algorithms that will try to match. And let me go there. Whoops. Okay, let me go select items. Okay, sorry, I had the select items on but didn't select anyone. So okay, and the thing is that it's not if it's not automatic, I will try to extract some misspellings. I will try to do that. It takes some time here, but the thing is that we decided that we would not implement automatically spelling correction. The reason is that we saw some of those cases, and no matter which algorithm we use, we know that it will make some mistakes, and some of those mistakes could be critical. Okay, you don't want to maybe to categorize some items while in one way, while it should be instead spell check in another way. So what we did is that it takes some time here because it's actually looking at 1.7 million words, and it will try to not only look at the misspellings, but try to see the misspellings that may be associated with the words I'm looking for. And some of those are okay. I did had quite a lot of those already. So, okay, cigarette, for example, I'm pretty sure is that. But if I look at this one, okay, it may be water, but it may be also later. And it could be something else. So basically what you could do is do a keyword in context, and it will show you where it appear. Okay. Okay. It's later. Yeah. Okay. So I know that that's not good. Even if I select all of them, I could remove this one because I know that's not good. And that could be waste as well. Again, so I could do a keyword in context. And same thing for here, looking or cooking or booking. So it could be quite a lot of words. By doing a keyword in context, it allows me to decide whether I will add it to my items. And if I'm not happy with the way, I could tell the software that replace that in a text. Sorry, it's not this one. Oh yeah, I select those. So yeah, I should have instead. Let me go there. For example, I could say, okay, after looking at that, for example, okay, this one is good, but if I look for something else, for example, McDonald's, Okay, it's probably McDonald's. I could tell the software to replace it. And if I do replace it, it will ask me which one I want, and I can type the correct response I want. But before doing that, typically what I would do, that's not probably a good example, but LVH, I don't know what it is. I could do a keyword in context, and I could see what it is, and I will understand. And it's actually a acronym for a hotel. That's Las Vegas Hilton, okay? But now I can see it. But if I found that it is a misspelling of something, after doing a keyword in context, I can tell the software, replace it, and I could type what I want here, okay? So that, again, doing that automatically, and if some misspellings are may make reference to two different things, it could be tricky to make just one replacement. Of course, you could still go back to the text and do one-to-one replacements, but that's take quite a lot of time. You do that only if it's critical. Otherwise, you try to find which one is the most common. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Norman. We're basically out of time. There's a couple of other questions. We'll try to get to them individually, either today or tomorrow. We'll try to do them this afternoon if we can. Thank you very much for attending the webinar. We'll be posting a recording of the webinar on our website. If there's a subject that you would like us to cover in future webinars, please send it to us through the Contact Us link on our website, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and our website, where we'll announce the dates and times of future events. So thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.